What is going on, guys? It is Tech Tuesday, and today we are going to be focusing on Tech Tuesday, guys. We're going to be focusing on the Polaris RZR Pro XP. Whether it be the Ultimate or the Premium, we're going to be talking about all the products that we have for that car. But in order to talk about those things, we got to go over to Justin Smith.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you guys for tuning in. We apologize, we've been gone for a little while. Baja 500 was last week. We've been gone for a week pre-running and had a whole lot of stuff going on the week prior. So we put you off till this week. But it's going to be a big week when it comes to feeds, because this one is going to be all about products on a Pro XP. I think I got that right. It's actually a Polaris RZR Pro XP. I said Pro S. One more time. Polaris RZR Pro XP. There, no complaints. The reason we're going to go into some of the tech on these products is because we've gotten a lot of people in the last 2 weeks not even knowing that we have a lot of stuff for a Pro, and we have a lot, and we have some new stuff coming out literally today and the next couple of days we're going to go over, and we're going to go over some of the science and technicality as to how these things work and why they fix things that you need to worry about. But before we go into all that, I'm going to do 1 minute that can be pulled out of this video and put into an Instagram ad somewhere just for our media team to be happy. Here you go. Media team, congratulations. You guys wonder what we have for products on a Pro XP? Actually, what we have, let me start over. Do you guys ever know or wonder what we have in stock for Polaris RZR Pro XP? Well, we've got spring kits, valving, we've got links, front and rear sway bars, we've got limit straps, we've got frame supports, we've got resi caps, we've got radius rods, tie rod kits with pin kits, we have RC2s as a Fox shock upgrade, and we have IQS. We also have 2 more products in the works that we'll be announcing shortly. Under a minute. Under a minute. It wasn't as cool as the one that Steve did. He had a much more animated version of that.
Stop.
That's for sure. But we've got 2 XPs here, or Pro XPs here for you to take a look at. That way you can see some of the things that are on them. Before we go into all of those, I'm going to dive into the new limit strap kit for this one. Come on over here and take a look at some of the differences. Well, we've got limit straps available for Pro XPs, all models, currently as long as they're equipped with Foxes. We have rear limit strap kits for the walkers coming very, very soon. I think I nailed that one right, Mitch. Perfect. We've got fronts, but not rears. Yep. So all Fox equipped stuff. Here's the reason why our previous limit strap kits did not work in the rear of an XP, Pro XP. On the far side, in the rear, what's up underneath this fender is the radiator overflow box. It might be really hard to see. Actually, if you come from the rear, you can see that overflow box right there, clear colored unit. Okay, that basically is rubbing up against the inside of the shock. So clearance on the back side is really tight, and our clamp systems were too thick and it would rub on that. Creating a thinner back clamp was needed. It also helps fix or allows us to do limit strap clamps for a KRX in the front. So over here, I'll show you the difference in design. Here's a standard back clamp, and then here's the new thinner clamp. This one with high clearance is also made out of 4340 chromoly. Right here you can take a look at how this stuff is machined. From a billet block of aluminum, you can see the different stages from a chunk, whittled down into step 1, step 2 where both sides are machined. Step 3 for this would be send it out for anodizing and then remachine after anodized to get the pretty edge that you see. Back clamps, and then here is a heavy 4340 material, and that's where this clamp gets machined out of. So no movement, no flex in this kit. That way we can clear things, and we can also help with KRX front kits. Mitch!
Is there a difference mounting the limit strap in the front or behind the shock?
There is no difference in functionality. You can do that. The difference only becomes apparent at the bottom when you mount the strap, because on a factory arm, mounting it to the front, on a lot of these will hit the radiator. If you mount it to the back, there's nothing for clearance issues. On a lot of aftermarket upper control arms, you can't mount to the front the way that they create that fabricated mount. You can only mount it to the rear. But as far as upper mount is concerned, there's no reason why you can't go either direction. So if you got something custom, mount it wherever you want. Steve.
Justin, is there a concern with having a steel backing and an aluminum front with it ripping out?
No. The actual hardware here, okay, this hardware is threaded into the aluminum on either design, and it's never had a failure point or a failure of any of ours. And we're talking about 20,000 limit strap kits, 0 hardware failures here unless somebody over torques it. Now, we've done a test on this system, both steel and aluminum. The clamping force is identical, which is about 3,800 pounds of clamping force. There is 0 thread removal or stripping, whether it's going to be a steel backing or aluminum one. Limit straps. So why do you need these? Why are they important? Well, a couple of reasons. They eliminate front end clunk. They eliminate rear end clunk. Well, what's the front end clunk? Well, when you start putting things on the suspension or any of the moving parts or unsprung weight in a UTV, actually, I'll put it simpler. If you put anything heavier that's hanging on the shock than stock, chances are you're going to pick up a clunk when the thing goes to full extension. Or say when you're in the air and the tire's off the ground, that's full extension, or going through rock crawling, one falls out, one's all the way wound up, that's full extension. Anytime the thing drops all the way out. If that weight is heavier than stock, then you're going to surpass the limits and design of the internal spring or hydraulic stop inside the shock, and it blows past it and clunks the shock on extension. Internally, here's what you're looking at. So this is the inside of a Fox shock. Let's look at this one right here. This would be right there. That's what we're looking at, shaft and seal head. All of this is on the inside of the shock. This portion on the inside, this is called a top out spring or a full extension spring. And what happens when the shock extends all the way out and the tire is hanging on the shock, this spring compresses the upper piston and the seal head compress together, and that tries to slow that extension down. But this spring has a specific spring rate. Just depends on the make and model, but these things vary between 140 and 360 pounds. And that rate is tuned to the weight of the system. So you put an aftermarket wheel and tire on it, you put bigger springs on it, which allow it to shoot out faster. You change the rebound valving, which allows it to shoot out faster. You throw bigger brakes on it, you put bigger axles on it, you put a wheel and tire or a different arm system on it. All of that adds weight. That means when this goes to full extension, it blows through the spring, compresses it, and it goes bang on the piston. And basically the piston and this nut are the only things holding up all of the weight on that front corner or rear corner of your UTV. It's very easy to pull that nut right off, or if it's an adjustable shaft with a rebound adjuster, like a lot of these are, that shaft is hollow and it snaps the shaft right off, and this portion of the shock shaft comes out of the shock. So limit straps stop this extension from blowing past the spring and beating the nut and the threads up, because it hangs on the strap instead. The straps are designed to do that. You can adjust them, so as they stretch, you can bring them up a little bit. So if you hear a little bit of clunk, after a few hundred miles, the strap stretched a little bit, you can tighten the strap up, get rid of the clunk again, and save the shock. This is the case for both front and rear, but it's most important in the front. The shocks typically are smaller. They don't have the hydraulic ability to slow it down as much as in the rear. So more of the clunk is going to happen in the front. That's why a limit strap kit is needed on all your UTVs, because this is the case and also the problem whenever you add accessories and change things on any of the new stuff coming out. Questions?
On limit straps. There is a random question, but it has to do with the limit straps. It says, how many pounds of scrap do you have every month? Because obviously if you whittle it down, how much do we have every month? Do you know?
You know, we go through about 3,500 pounds of aluminum scrap a week. So if you guys do the math on per pound recycling, it's a decent amount of recycling money that we have for lunch to spend on company lunches around here. So a lot, probably 4 or 5 trailer loads of 6 Gaylord, dumpster size things a week. So limit straps, that's how they work. That's why they're important. making them adjustable is important. Having them easily bolt on, having them line up with the shock and not with another extreme angle, which puts more load on the strap, is super important. And they've been around for many, many years, like 30, 40 years in off-road racing, because all the big truck guys and big buggy guys with 250-pound wheel and tire systems and differentials that they have to hold up, the shocks aren't going to put up with that. They blow the shocks right off of it in a race. The limit straps have been around for a very long time there. Something we didn't invent, which is something we put on UTVs. Mitch.
Jay Up said, excuse me, adding a long travel kit would cause a need of limit straps, correct?
Instantly, because most long travel kits are not only going to add weight, which is an issue we just talked about, but they're also going to add leverage, because when you make the arm longer and the shock mounts in the same spot, arm is longer, it's pulling on the shock with more force, increasing the clunk right away, increasing the loads on that nut on top of the piston and the shaft. So very important that you stop it with straps. Hopefully the media department can edit out some of that and put all of that into a really short explanation, right? Sorry, I'm just messing with John because he likes to point out how we get all sideways around here. Right, other products. Now we covered limit straps. Coming out right now on a Pro XP. Sorry, yes, Pro XP.
But it's a RZR Pro XP.
Polaris
RZR Pro XP.
Polaris RZR Pro XP. Got to get this right. Other new stuff that we have for these that we're really proud of, tie rods. On this one that Mitch is using as a chair, we've got one of our tie rod kits. If you go around the back, you can see a full tie rod kit in here with an adjustable pin kit. And we've had some people ask about how this works. We do have videos for the pin kits. So go online or go on our website and you can see installation, how this works. But we've got adjustable shims on the bottom that are different thicknesses from 1/4 inch to 30 thousandths, or 1/4 to 60, I forget. Stainless, and what you do is you pull a shim out of the bottom and install it on the top, which means you can raise and lower this and tune it to get all the bump steer out of it. And if you get bump steer out of the car, then you're going to have less feedback in the wheel. Billet aluminum tie rod, inner joints that we make in-house. The inner joints are, oh, I forget what we did for math. It's like 36% stronger. No, actually, in diameter alone, it's 36% stronger. But in material, it's another 50% stronger than the factory inner joints. So really strong inner pivot joints that come with this kit too. And also, Steve had one thing to add?
Oh, you were just over there. I just wanted to point out the Resi cap.
That's right. We have Resi caps for all XP, or Pro XPs.
Where do you find that, Justin?
We happen to find it, Steve.
www.shocktherapyusa.com.
Thank you. You can just roll with that.
You know.
Just set yourself up and go.
I try to. I throw myself softballs sometimes.
You should. Nobody else is going to do it. So we have spring kits, which obviously you guys know about. Spring kits, we have internal valving. We talked about limit straps and how those work. We talked a little bit about these tie rods. I don't have an example of rear radius rods on either one of these because this one's a long travel behind me. And so is this one. Well, it's a sort of, it's extended kit, so it doesn't have our radius rods on it. Other parts that we have. Mitch.
I have a really good question about limit straps that just came in.
Let's hear a limit strap question.
R.N. Anderson said, what is the best way to ensure the strap is adjusted properly, not too long and not too short?
That is a good question.
It is a good question. So if you follow our instructions, we're going to tell you to start with a brand new strap an inch shorter than the shock overall length. The brand new straps, though, stretch quite a bit in the initial, and they'll take a set, if you will. They'll stretch to a point and they'll get to their happy spot. Once they've found that spot, you can extend the strap a little longer until you hear a clunk after you drive it, and then shorten it up 1/4 inch until you don't hear the clunk again. That would be one of the easy ways. But I tend to go a little bit on the conservative side because I don't want to hang on the shock anywhere in a long trip or in a race or whatever it might be. So we kind of find where the clunk is and we go another 1/2 inch short just for the heck of it on our end. You're not going to notice the difference in suspension travel by choking it up 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. You're just not. If the suspension works, it's going to work just fine after 1/4 inch of choking up on it. Steve.
Alain Douglas said, any ETA on Pro XP steering racks?
I don't have an ETA for you. We've been doing some drawing and CAD work on it, but we don't have a prototype done, so we're quite a few months out. I'm going to stop saying 2 weeks. That's what I heard. That's what I want it to be, but it doesn't ever turn out that way. That's for sure. What other products do we have, Mitch?
For this car specifically?
How about let's walk? Oh, you know what? We have frame supports. We have not talked about those.
We have not. No, that's a good one.
So if you guys have ever seen any frame supports that we sell for XP or XP turbos, this is the same type of design. This supports the frame. I think we have them on both, right?
Yeah.
Come on over here. We don't have a good light there, though. On this side's a little better. So the frame support is sitting right here. This is exactly the same one that sits right there. Now what that does is it ties the motor mount in the front, or the sway bar mount in the front, to the motor mount on the bottom frame. The reason is that this section of frame right here is known to have weak spots and can crack, depending on how hard you drive and depending on how much independence you're throwing into the system. So typically guys that dune and dune hard come down into a G-out. If they come down, they don't want to come down straight because they're going to stuff the nose or drag the skid plate. So they're going to come down crooked. Well, when you come down crooked, then you wind one tire all the way up and one down and the other one all the way up and the other one down. Full independence when you go through that G-out. That kind of stress adds up to either broken sway bars or broken frame mounts. So this sway bar or frame support helps alleviate some of the sway bar stress from doing that, and it saves the frame. So how many of these have we seen like that, Mitch? 2, 3 at least in the last in the last 2 months we've seen 3.
Pretty bad.
So maybe not as bad as the original XPs, which had a major issue, but certainly something that has to be addressed. So frame supports are something you want to consider on all this too, especially if you're maybe when you're doing sway bar links, front and rear, which there's a link on there too. Camille can show you. And there's also links on the front suspension on that front arm, which help when it comes to stiffening up the sway bar system. The factory links use hard rubber bushing, and so those can have some movement in them. These are a solid system, so it'll stop some of the body roll compared to a stock link. Also, the stock links aren't the strongest. They're a 1/4 inch solid tube. A lot of guys have broken those, especially right where they weld to the bushing. So replacing those is a good idea. Plus they're good looking and you can see them from a mile away. So a lot of guys like to do that. Steve, what else have we got on these things?
Are we allowed to talk about the future of the rear sway bar?
Oh, we can drop a hint of the future.
A little hint?
Yes. Steve.
Jesus, there's a frame that just keeps...
What do you have to tell us?
Well, I'm not going to point too many things out, but if you look right here, Camille, we've got our ABC clamp.
So ABC clamp stands for adjustable bar clamp. And you know what, Steve? Take it away. Let's use your beautiful Vanna White fingers pointing out what's going on here.
Guys, do you want to be able to adjust your stock sway bar? Well, with our ABC clamp, you'll be able to do that. We have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 positions to be able to change that in with our adjustable sway bar link. It's bitchin', it's badass, and it can turn your stock sway bar into an adjustable sway bar.
Steve, God, that was amazing. You know what that was? That was another Instagram post that was under a minute that media can just take out of this and roll with it. John, exactly, you're welcome. So, ABC clamps, adjustable bar clamp. It is chromoly, it's 4340, and it turns your stock sway bar into an adjustable sway bar. One of the reasons for this is some of these sway bars, like this one particularly in a Pro XP, it's hard to get out. You have to pull some of the exterior panels and possibly the seats, depending on which seats you got in the car, to get the sway bar out of this thing. It's a pain in the butt. So we came up with an adjustable system that can allow you to go softer on the stock than the stock sway bar for you guys that do a lot of rock crawling. It allows you to go a little stiffer than the stock system is for you guys that are wailing a corner like high-speed desert or something like that, or even in the dunes. More sway bar on the dunes is a big help. So that is something that is not available right now. It is not on the site right now. That's prototype kit. We've got a year into it, and we are producing these right now. So I'm not going to say 2 weeks, but I am going to say less than 2 months. Yep. You will have these out, and they will be available. We'll do a full announcement on them, and we will have them for multiple models. Not just the Pro, but the Pro is the first one. We're going to go through all of them as well. Any questions on that?
You answered it.
Boom. There you go. Other things that we have on this, I just don't have any to show you. Radius rods, we have both billet aluminum and we have chromoly. When it comes to radius rods, chromoly tends to be the one that you want to race, because if it bends, you can bend it back a little bit. The aluminum ones are the ones you want to go like to the dunes. They're more visual, although we have a lot of guys racing the aluminum ones. For instance, in this last Baja 500, we counted 5 cars that had aluminum ones on them, and without issue. We are also in the middle of finishing up the raised or high clearance radius rod system for the Pro R, and I would be extending down into other models like the Pro XP. That's coming soon. I think that might be close to the end, although the biggest thing in our face, Fox RC2 upgrade, right? So if you bought one of these Pro XPs and it's got walkers on it, and you're just done with it and you're like, I want to do something else, I'm ready to upgrade my UTV because I can't buy anything new, there's nothing new at the dealer to even get. You want to upgrade your car, a Fox RC2 set for this is a drastic change and a drastic improvement for these. It takes something that's mediocre ride and makes it stellar, makes it a 2-position adjustable or high and low speed adjuster, compression and a rebound adjuster. And once you've got Foxes on this, number one, longer lasting, better ride quality, more adjustable, then you have the IQS option. And IQS, electronic adjustability on a Fox, so you can take all of those adjustments that I just mentioned, you can do and adjust those on the fly, on the dash, whenever you want electronically. We use that IQS system in all of our race cars. Tons of our racers have it. It's a stellar improvement if you're racing in speed, because you can set the car up more in a plush zone and go full stiff when you need it and not slow down for big hits instead of getting abused all race long. And if in a play scenario, you've got it set up for one person, you're good to go. Throw a family in the car and it runs around and bottoms out everywhere, well, you can go stiffer on the dash and take care of it on the fly, and you don't have to worry about tuning it for one way or the other because you can adjust enough into it when you're on your play run. So huge, huge improvement. In this last race, in the stock UTV class, the top 3 people, all the podium finishers, had our parts, shocks, springs, and IQS's. Everything were on their cars. Podium sweep. What was that, Steve?
What?
Oh, I thought you were signaling no.
No, I was talking to, sorry.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry, no, that was not to you. No, I was talking to Dom, sorry.
But it is something that works really well. So if you guys have any questions on any of those, let us know. But products for Pro XP, we have a ton. So hopefully that answers all your questions that we've been getting. Hopefully it answers a little bit of the questions on how and why limit straps are important and what causes the problems that they cure. And it is important to jump on. Limit straps are just as important as any other accessory on it. Steve?
Justin, a couple people want to know, how much are the limit straps?
They vary between $260 and $300 a kit. A kit would be a pair, so that's front or rear. Yep. In that range. Just depends on the make and model and how the accessory bracketry works on the bottom. It's the only thing that changes the cost. Thank you, Steve, for pointing that out. Any other rapid fire before we split? No.
Well, nothing to do with the Polaris RZR Pro XP. There's no questions about that.
Okay. Well then, if that's the case, you guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to take our Tech Tuesdays and we're going to tech them out here really quick. So as of the next Tech Tuesday, we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to show you some more geometry stuff, which a lot of you guys have been requesting. We're going to dive into a few things, and if you like technicality, then we'll go there. This Thursday, we're going to be going over our full Baja 500 race recap. It's pretty good. I can tell you within 12 hours, we went through 10 or 15 things that are pretty amazing. So you guys tune in on Thursday. We'll let you know what's up. For now, have a great rest of your Tuesday. Steve, take us out.
Guys, if you want to buy anything for your Polaris RZR Pro XP, please visit our website because it's live, and that's www.shocktherapyusa.com. Or if you have any questions, call us at the shop, 623-217-4959.